Hello everyone, my name is Dr.J.Karthikeyan. I am from VIT University, Vellore, which is in India. I am so happy to be a part of this international virtual conference on English language teaching presented by Asian EFL Journal in partnership with University of Christian Indonesia.
Hi, I'm Professor Dr.R.Vasanthan. I belong to the Faculty of English at National College, Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu, India. And I'm really proud of being a part of this significant study.
Hello everyone, I'm Khriereizhunuo Dzuvichu, an educational researcher by profession.
I'm so happy to start our presentation, which is an empirical study that we have conducted with reference to assimilation of English words.
And I'm very passionate about applied linguistics and the implementation of language, and thus this paper, a sociolinguistic analysis on the use of assimilated English words among the Angami Nagas, a usage-based model of language.
The paper is structured as introduction, theoretical frameworks that has literature survey, significance of the study, research questions, research objective, relevance of the study to international context, followed by the research methodology, where we have added the details of population, the data, and the analysis part. The last three parts of our research paper includes results and findings, discussions, followed by conclusion. The location of our study is in northeast part of India, in a state called Nagaland. Very specific, the study we have conducted is in the capital city of Kohima. We have executed the study in different parts of Kohima where we have taken our samples. The population of our study is Angamis. Who are these Angamis? Angamis are one among 16 major recognized tribes of Nagaland. They are fourth largest among the Naga tribes. The local people call these Angamis as Tenmia, which means swift walkers. Based on the geographical locations, these Angami groups are classified into four groups, namely Northern, Southern, Western, and Chakroma groups. Why we have chosen the Angami Nagas for this empirical study? The answer is very simple. Some of the words get assimilated into dialects of the language which is spoken by different groups which are part of these Angamis. Actually, they speak a complete different language which is nowhere related to English. But in our study, we have identified some of the words have a resemblance of English. Angamis use different kinds of English words in their regular speeches. Whether they are educated or not, that doesn't matter. They knowingly or unknowingly use these kinds of English words. Some of the English words get assimilated into the language spoken by several groups of Nagas. And that's the reason why we have executed this study among this tribe. What language do these Angamis speak? Linguistically, it is classified as Tibeto-Burman, or in other words, we can call that as non-Sinitic language, which falls under the language family of Sino-Tibetan languages. Distinctly monosyllabic and peculiarly rich in intonation. This Angamis language falls under venerable level in the UNESCO language classification. During our literature survey, we noticed that the linguistic research on Angamis language was started in 1875. Though the research on Angami's language was started in 1875, it is very difficult to find an authentic resources on the linguistic researches with the specification to Angami's language. What is the objective of this paper? Or what is the objective of our study? The answer is simple. This study is to comprehend how our source language words, which is in English, get adopted by the speakers of another language or dialect, which is the Angami. In this study, assimilated words and phrases is used to mean how English words and phrases got entrenched into the speech and the communication among the language which is used by the Angami tribe. In other words, I can say this study will pioneer in the usage-based model of language on the trends of using English words and phrases by Angami Nagas tribe. What are the research questions that we have framed by the time we started this empirical study? Number one, have the Angami Nagas assimilated English words and phrases into their language? Number two, is the same meaning of the assimilated English words and phrases inferred both by the educated and the uneducated person? Number three, whether the user are fully aware of the actual name, spelling, and pronunciation of the assimilated words. Number four, is there a variation with regards to generic and specific significance of the assimilated English words? What are our research objectives? Number one, to explore how some words from a different language get assimilated into dialects of a community or a group that speaks a totally different language or dialect. Number two, to study how a different language, or in other words, the source language words get adopted by speakers of another language or dialect. Number three, how a totally different speech community assimilated and entrenched a large number of English words and phrases and used them extensively in both formal as well as informal speech. Number four, to study how English words, names, and phrases are extensively used to identify and describe things within the Angami community, irrespective whether they are educated or not. How this study is very much relevant to the international context. Number one, accuracy in the usage of assimilated words from a different language within a community or a group can be successful as a user-based model of basic language assimilation. Number two, this study shows that the use of certain words from an outside language source can grow into a usage trend with the correct sense, meaning, and purpose among a speech community or a group of people. Number three, the use of assimilated words from an external language used in the context which is correct can lead to a successful conversation or a speech in varying contexts. Number four, accurate and specific use can take place when some words get entrenched in usage by a community or a group with a touch of their own local expressions and pronunciation. Number five, the usage of assimilated words in the long run can develop and grow in the speech of a community or a group, thereby becoming a usage trend model of language acquisition at the grassroots level. What you have seen in the video for the past 10 minutes is the introduction to the research. What is the significance of the study? What are the research questions that we have raised as a part of the study? What are our research objectives? And how relevant is the study to the international context? I was also sharing you what time the research was started when it comes to the Angami tribes. The following video will have the core component, which is the research methodology. What are the data that we have collected, how we have collected, and how we have analyzed the data to come out with findings and thereby giving a conclusion.
For this research paper, we have interviewed 75 Angami natives in the age group of 16 to 60 who were interviewed telephonically via video call and conferencing as well as in person. The participants are from different Angami regions and villages, and the group included a mixed number of educated, semi-educated and uneducated persons to give a balanced representation of the research focus. For the research design, we have made up two lists of English words framed for the study. The first list comprised of the pictures or photo images of the objects, name, and words which were shown to the participants, and they were asked to name the pictures as seen. For those who find difficulty in naming the words, specific detailed explanations of the words or the name of the objects are provided without letting out the factual focus word name which they have to provide. So here I'm going to present a model of the interview which I had with few of the participants in person. For the first list of words, I'm going to show them pictures of the objects which we have used in the assimilated words for the research paper. So images of the objects will be shown to them like this in flashcards, as well as I will show them, if it is not clear in the flashcards, I will also show them by phone some of the images which have been collected for the research. So I will be having the interview in the local dialect of the Angamis. So here we go. How do you do? So for cake, she said cat. How do you do?
Biscuit.
So in Angami, for biscuit, we call biscuit. How do you say?
Heel.
So for most of the heeled shoes, we call it as heel or heel pigu. How do you say?
Shooter.
So this is the image of, these are the images of some sweaters which we use in winter, and there in among the Angami Nagas, we call it as shooter, which the participant has said in the same way. So how do you?
Italy.
So these are the pictures of two kettles, and in the among the Angami Nagas, we usually call it as ketili, and that is exactly the same way in which the participant has replied. Okay, let's go with this. Let's see how this will be called. Bola. Okay. So these are the images of some balls, and among the Angami Nagas, some call it as balls, especially the educated Nagas, but many call it as bolo or bola. So that is how many will respond. And these are the images of some rucksacks. Let's see how she will respond to it. Rucksack. Okay, so this is one of the most common English words which are assimilated among the Angami Nagas, and it's actually called as rucksack in Angami, in English language, but Angamis usually call it as ruckside. For the second table, the listed English words alone were shown and were also read out with focus on clarity on the pronunciation to the participants, and they have to share what is understood of the words shown or read to them, and the local pronunciation is also shared with them. In the same way, I have the sample of few words which are used in the generic form among the Angami Nagas. For example, the word machine. It is used to mean any kind of machinery, and we used to call it as machiner. So let's see what the participant will call it.
machine.
So what she said is this is called as machine, and she said that with this we used to stitch things. So anything which we use to stitch things, any kind of machinery, is called as machiner, not machine. But it's the result of the assimilated English words among the Angami Nagas. This is another sample word. So this is the word bomb. Let's go with this first word. What is this?
Drum.
Okay, what do you use it for? What is the purpose of this?
Liquid water.
Put water and Okay. So among the Angami Nagas, drum is a generic term used among the Angami Nagas for either a kind of cylindrical vessel used for storing water, or an instrument used for beating with like a musical instrument. Let's go with this.
Maggi.
Or do what?
Noodles.
Okay. So this is another generic term. It's Maggi actually. But among the Angami Nagas, any kind of noodle type of food, any type of noodle food item is called as Maggi. So this is another word which has been assimilated among the Angami Nagas. Any kind of noodles are called as Maggi among the Angami Nagas. Okay, let's start with this.
Jerkin.
Okay, so this is another commonly used word among the Angami Nagas. It is actually called as jerry cane among the, in English. But among the Angami Nagas, they call it as jargon, jerry cane. There are many kinds of words we use for this jerry cane. So these are some of the few words which are assimilated among the Angami Nagas, whether they are educated, uneducated, or semi-educated.
The data that we have collected from all the 75 samples are transferred into a table. For better understanding, I have categorized the columns into 3 different colors: orange, green, and blue. In every color, you can notice 2 columns. In orange color, the first column is for the word, how it is pronounced in English. The second column is the same word pronounced by Angamis. In green colors, there are 2 columns. The first column is the number of responses that we have received from people who followed the English trial. The second green column is the number of samples who followed the Angami style of pronunciation. The blue color has again 2 columns. The first column is the number of samples who are aware that the word they pronounced is assimilated name or a word. And the second column in blue color are the samples who are not aware of the correct names of words which are spoken in English, but they use the assimilated names or words. For the first phase of study, we have used 55 pictures. We have tested these pictures with all the 75 samples. In the second phase of study, we have collected 25 words or phrases, and we have tested these 25 words and phrases with all our samples. The data in table 2 are collected from 75 samples that we have used for this study, and we have read aloud 22 words or phrases in front of the samples, and I have picturized the table in 3 distinct colors for better understanding. The first blue color columns has the list of words that we have read, and the second column in the blue color is what they have repeated in the Angami pronunciation. The green color column shows how many responses are similar to English pronunciation. The second green color column is the representation of how the word is pronounced using Angami style. The last orange color columns has 2 components. The first column is the list of samples who are aware that they use the assimilated words. But the last column, which is in orange color, is the number of samples who are unaware that they are using assimilated words. Figure 1 shows that the number of responses of the assimilated words in Angami style is higher than the English way. Few words had an almost balanced number of responses. In figure 2, it represents an elevated use of assimilated English words and names irrespective of the awareness of the correct name or meaning of specific English words selected for the study. The graphical representation that we have shown in figure 1 and figure 2 are derived from the data that we have collected in the first set of study, where we have used pictures for testing their pronunciation. Figure 3 and figure 4, the graphical representation, are derived from the second part of study, where we have used words or phrases. Figure 3 demonstrates the extent of assimilated English words used to mean or identified with collective things among the Angami Nagas. The high number of responses, both in English dialect as well as in the Angami style, shows the popularity of the said words or names which got entrenched into the Angami conversations. Here, the high response in use as per the English way shows the popularity of the words, because the longer a word is used, the more perfect the utterance will become. Figure 4 represents the abundant use of English words and names among the Angami people in their daily lives. Many of the participants admitted of not being aware of the correct name or meaning, but interestingly enough, their usage of the word is accurate. What is the result the study has given us? The study revealed that whether educated or not, assimilated words are used with a distinct similar pronunciation by the users in the community or a group. Over time, assimilated words get entrenched in the speeches of local community with accurate usage. At the same time, certain assimilated names and words get to be identified with collective items or things. In the case of Angami Nagas from Nagaland, the use of a selection of such assimilated words shows distinct accuracy in usage. Hope our presentation and the video that you have seen during our presentation should have been very interesting to you. On behalf of my fellow researchers, I thank the organizer for giving such a wonderful opportunity to share our research work. Thank you once again.